This is going to be a video on whether or not I believe that the Kansas City Chiefs are going to repeat as champions, or even just at the very least make it back to the Super Bowl. Okay, I'm gonna let them talk, and then I'm gonna jump in.
Chiefs won Super Bowl 54. Predictions for Super Bowl 55 came flooding in. One of those was by a former player and NFL analyst who picked the Chiefs over the Cowboys. This sparked some spirited debate between Skip and Shannon yesterday about whether Mahomes could return to the Super Bowl or whether Dak could really lead the Cowboys to a title. So Fox Sports NFL analyst Eric Dickerson with us this morning.
Yeah, closet
Cowboys.
Is
that the latest?
D-League, Texas.
Why we gotta be talking about the Cowboys going to the Super Bowl?
Somehow we're still talking about
it. I mean, that's like the Redskins going.
Oh, is it?
Yeah,
really?
man, please.
All right, Eric, how likely is a Chiefs-Cowboys matchup?
I'm gonna say this now. It is not likely at all. One, I don't believe the Cowboys are even going to get there. I think Mike McCarthy is going to need a year or two, I guess, to get that team where they're going to need to be. I will be extremely surprised if they are competitive next year. Okay? And also, who thinks, like, all right, how many times in the history of anybody watching the Super Bowl looked at a team that either won the Super Bowl or lost the Super Bowl that are not named the New England Patriots and said, I think that team can win for years, get back here for years, be contenders, be a threat for years, and just to end up being wrong? Like, how many of these fucking teams?
You believe in Santa Claus?
Not anymore.
Thank you. Not likely at all. I mean, I don't think. Now, the Chiefs going back is very likely. Very, when you look at the Kansas City.
I think the Chiefs getting back to the Super Bowl is almost... There have only been one team over the past 20 years, besides the New England Patriots, that got back to the Super Bowl a year removed of being in the Super Bowl. And that team is the Seattle Seahawks. And that's because that team was fucking special. They were built defensively. And then you had Russell Wilson, who was an underrated quarterback at that time because we just didn't know how good this dude was going to be. And, I mean, that team was just built to fucking win. They were built to dominate. Now, the one thing that destroyed the Seattle Seahawks is the fact that their coach allowed those players to believe that they are above the law. They are just above it all. And I hate when people say, oh man, he's a great coach. He's a player's coach. Yeah, you know what happens with these players' coaches? They get no respect from their players at some point, and then the entire locker room implodes on itself. And that's what happened to Pete Carroll. He was a popular players' coach. And then that locker room ate him alive, ate their fucking franchise up, and now their franchise is just working, trying to get back to the fucking Super Bowl again. And if it wasn't for Russell Wilson and being as great as he is, I don't even think that team would be competing. But, that's just my thought. But we also thought the same thing about the Atlanta Falcons, the Philadelphia Eagles, the Carolina Panthers, the Los Angeles Rams. Okay, we thought the same thing about, who else? The Green Bay Packers. I mean, we think so much about these teams, man, because they're so loaded, right? They're so stacked. There's no way they can't get back here again until they don't get back there again. Look at Philadelphia. 2 years ago, that team, oh man, this team is built to win. Look at what they're doing. They're changing the game. New England's way of winning is not the only way you win. All right? That was the whole narrative surrounding the Eagles. Now look at them. They're fucking struggling. They're struggling. And if it wasn't for those terrible-ass Cowboys, which is why I don't think they're going anywhere, if it wasn't for those terrible-ass Cowboys, they wouldn't have made the playoffs. Okay? So, it is what it is.
Chiefs. This team is built for longevity. I mean, they have a quarterback. They have a running back. They have a couple of receivers.
No. They don't have running backs. Wasn't that the whole thing before the Super Bowl? Oh man, Patrick Mahomes is out there by himself. You can't trust him to run the ball. You can't trust those receivers. Those receivers only work because of Patrick Mahomes. That defense is so bad. Wasn't that the whole... And I remember last year, right before the AFC Championship game, when that defense completely dismantled Andrew Luck and the Indianapolis Colts. They completely destroyed them. Oh man, Kansas City defense is so good. I don't know how Brady's going to beat them guys. And then what happened after that game when Brady went off on them guys? Oh, that defense is so bad. Come on, man. You can't... if it wasn't for that defense, Patrick Mahomes would be in the Super Bowl right now. They don't have a defense. They don't have a running game. The receivers are only useful because of Patrick Mahomes. Nobody ever talks about the offensive line at all. Like, nobody mentions the offensive line. Oh, Kansas City has one of the best offensive lines in the league. Nobody ever mentions the offensive line. I'm starting to think they don't have one. But, I don't know, man. Look, we've heard all this before. This is nothing but history repeating itself.
I mean, they have fast receivers. The thing about receivers, I think about in our day when I played, they would take a guy that was a defensive back or running back and put him at receiver because he was fast. But he couldn't catch. Now, you look at Tyreek Hill, he can catch. You look at Hartman, he can catch. They can run great. I mean, just like that.
I don't see what bringing up the fact that back in the 80s or 70s, or I believe it was the 80s, I don't see what bringing up playing back in the 80s that coaches used to move DBs and put them at wide receiver when the receivers on the Kansas City Chiefs, they are not former DBs. So, I don't know, man. I don't know.
3rd and 15, you're talking about one of the best defense in the NFL gave up a big play to me that won that football game. Now, that was a changing point in that football game. So also. So, for me, I believe that the Chiefs can get back. And I'm really glad to see him win for Andy Reid.
Yeah.
I mean, I think when you watched all the players.
Andy Reid, this was not given to him. Andy Reid deserved this win because he went out there and he showed that out of all the teams that he played against, or out of all the teams that he coached against, he was the better coach.
Just hug Andy and just happy for him. Almost like Dad, we just happy that we're happy for you.
You could feel it.
You could feel it. I mean, and he didn't have to worry about that next year going.
It would have been really sad to see Andy Reid retire without winning a championship. All the times that this dude has saw nothing but disappointment in the playoffs, to finally win one had to be vindicating, obviously. But I mean, I have a lot of respect as a person who's been watching football since he was a kid. I have a lot of respect for Andy Reid, man, because out of all the coaches, there are a lot of different coaches that have their own personalities. That some of them or most of them rub me the wrong way, man, because of just the way that they hold themselves. And I never really got that feeling from. He's never been talkative. He's never been like an egomaniac. He's never been any kind of sort of offensive in any way possible. He's never talked trash about anybody. He's never said anything. He usually just does his job. He does the press conference. I mean, to the average person, he gives pretty boring press conferences. But I mean, this dude, he's pretty much a square when it comes to NFL head coaches. I mean, even Bill Belichick has a distinct personality when it comes to press conferences and talking to the media and stuff like that. Andy Reid is just an average guy. And he saw a lot of heartache, a lot of disappointment throughout the time that he's been an NFL head coach. And I think that this is a great way. I know he's not going to retire, but if he was to retire, this would be a great way to cap off his career. But hopefully he does come back. Hopefully he's able to get this team back. I think the job he did in Kansas City is a very, very impressive one. I mean, as great as we like to think that Patrick Mahomes is, I think a lot of that credit needs to go to Andy Reid. Because he was doing this with Alex Smith. He was doing this he did this with Nick Foles. He did this with Michael Vick. He did this with Donovan McNabb. So I think that a lot of credit needs to go to Andy Reid.
season. Let's talk about the Dallas Cowboys. The Dallas Cowboys, with Mike McCarthy, I think it was a good hire, it was a safe hire. It's not a sexy hire. It's not like a wow hire. It's almost like...
See, and that's the problem. Dallas doesn't need to be sexy. They're always... Look, they don't need to make the oh my God moment when it comes to hiring a coach. Okay? They need to make the right hire for their coach. That's it. Make the right move. Don't make the popular move. Don't make the move that make people go, oh my God, that draws attention to your team. Make the right move. Bring in the right coach. You have a team. You have a team that's built a certain way. You need a coach that's going to put them in position to do what it is that they're built to do. Anything else, you're a fucking failure. Hopefully Mike McCarthy could get it done, man, but you don't need a sexy hire. And this is the problem. Everything Dallas does is for the fucking cameras. Everything Dallas does is for the media. They need to start making better decisions.
And they hired Wade Phillips. Wade went 13-3 there, and then things kind of fell out. But then they had Jason Garrett as the offensive coordinator. It's almost like Mike McCarthy and Kellen Moore. You got the older guy with the younger guy that probably one day they'll probably want to keep him and let him move up. But when I look at Kellen Moore, they were not the same team as they were with Bill Callahan. Running the football. They were not. They were not. And
at one point, I thought they were actively ignoring Ezekiel Elliott. But, whatever. I mean, Kellen Moore is a former quarterback. And it didn't take a rocket scientist. Sorry, I kind of got lazy because I was thinking about what I was going to say next. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to fucking assume that Kellen Moore, being a former quarterback, to being, he was considered an incredibly smart quarterback coming out of Boise State. It doesn't take a genius to sum up that or surmise that this guy was going to be a pass-happy motherfucker. Like, he was going to be very pass-happy. And Dak Prescott is not a guy that you can rely on to win win games consistently. He's not the guy that you depend on.
Zeke is still that guy. I think you might think not skill, but he really is. He's still the same guy. Running the football is an art, and I say that all the time. Look at the San Francisco 49ers. That's an art to run the ball. You just can't line up and say, okay, we're going to go off tackle right, off tackle left. Doesn't work like that. I saw 8 and 9 man fronts through my whole career, and we were able to run the football because John Robinson had an art to running the football. So with the Cowboys, if they don't find a way to really get Zeke going, because it's about to come to an end. I mean, it's not going up. It's starting to level off now. So they have to find a way to run the football. So for me, I think that with Dallas, I look at Van Der Esch, I look at Jalen Smith. I think getting them healthy, especially Van Der Esch, getting him healthy, that defense I think will play better. I think finding Michael Gallup, also he's a number 2, but looked like he played almost like a number 1. And could go with Amari Cooper. They've got some upside. I like Dak. I mean, I like Dak as a quarterback.
If I had to make my assessment on what this team needs to put them in better position to win, I will say there are so many tight ends that are coming into the league that has the speed, has the hands, blocking ability, the route running, everything you would need them to do. First was Gronk, then it was Jimmy Graham, then it was Travis Kelce, and now it's George Kittle. And they need to bring in a tight end that can kind of round out that whole offensive look that they have. Okay? And then they need to bring in a defensive coordinator that can use those weapons. But I think the biggest problem with that defense is that some of their bigger players get hurt a lot more than you would want them to get hurt. So I don't know, man. I think that possibly looking at a tight end in the draft, you don't even need to draft a tight end in the first round, which I think is where people fuck up. You can get a tight end. Gronk was a second round pick, and then he got Aaron Hernandez. I think he was either a late second rounder or an early third rounder, and then I think Jimmy Graham was like a 4th round pick, I believe. I don't know where Travis Kelce was drafted, but I'm pretty sure he wasn't a first round pick. So you don't have to draft a tight end in the first round. You can get one in the later rounds. You just need to get the right one. Okay? You need to get the right one. And then all of their other picks, like the first round pick, maybe the second round or third round, whichever one that you don't draft a tight end in, that's if you draft one that early, should go towards defenders. They need defense. They need a safety out there. They need a safety. I say, I don't know. I think they need to bulk up at linebacker. I think that they need to bring in guys that probably won't start, but in case you have injuries, you have guys that you can slide in there and almost not miss a beat. But it's about scouting the right talent, man. Talent evaluation is such a hard and meticulous job. Not everybody is built to do it. So, you kind of gotta have you kind of have to hire scouts or people that are paid to look at those meticulous details and have the right judgment calls and telling the teams, this is who we think you should draft, this is who I think you should draft, whoever. But I think focusing on the defense, primarily the safety position, at least one of those safety positions, the safety position, linebackers, and possibly getting a tight end somewhere. I think those are the areas they need to fix when it comes to the roster. But I think that they probably need a defensive coordinator, man, that could... I don't know, man. I think every year we see a different team do something that we've never seen before that pretty much takes the entire league by storm. At one point, the Wildcat was introduced to the NFL, which went crazy the first year. It was extremely successful because nobody knew how to defend it. Belichick came out with the cover zero, zone blitz type defense. And apparently nobody has ever seen that before. He used it against the Kansas City Chiefs, which shut Patrick Mahomes down in the first half. I believe they also used it in the Super Bowl to a certain extent. So usually every year we see these teams, some team come up with something we've never seen before that completely turns the league on its head. Maybe they need to bring somebody like that in. But I'm done with this, man. I think I heard about enough. I don't know.